Empire. Patrick Peterson takes the mic on today's episode of the Football Jones podcast. What's up, everybody? It's Mike Jones. Thanks for coming back for another episode. You can read me at usatoday.com. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @ByMikeJones. And today we're joined by Arizona Cardinals defensive back Patrick Peterson. Well, he's an impending free agent, so we don't know if he'll be back with the Cardinals, but he's going to talk to us about upcoming free agency, about the J.J. Watt addition in Arizona, and an off-season project that he's taken up, joining the podcast world. It's a really good talk about a number of different topics, and I hope you'll enjoy it. But first, I want to get to a little bit of news. On Monday night, the Dallas Cowboys reached an agreement with Dak Prescott for a long-term deal, which is long overdue. This thing has been dragging out for 2 years now, but they finally got it done. 4 years, $160 million, with a record $126 million guaranteed. They had to get this thing done because Tuesday afternoon, 4 p.m. was the deadline by which they had to decide whether to use the franchise tag on Prescott or risk losing him to free agency. As you remember, this was the second year that they went into the offseason without a long-term deal with Prescott. Last year he played on the tag, got hurt early in the season, and really, Jerry Jones botched this thing. He should have gotten this deal done 2 years ago when he was taking care of Zeke Elliott, but he did not. Dak played on the tag last year, continued to speak confidently about his worth, that he felt like he deserved to be paid like the top quarterbacks in the league. They weren't able to get anything done. Dak fractured and dislocated his ankle, missed most of the season, but by not playing, his value, his worth was abundantly clear. Cowboys were a mess without him. But they go into the offseason here, and there hadn't been a lot of progress as recently as last week. But they dug in, they got it done before the deadline. I have to say, I'm a little bit surprised. I didn't know if the Cowboys were going to rise to the occasion, if Jerry Jones was actually going to get this thing done. And I expected they were still going to be trying to get a hometown deal, and that Dak was going to be content to play on the franchise tag once again and then move on next year. But here they are. They got the deal done. Dak now has his long-term future taken care of. And even though it's a lot of money, the Cowboys have this thing structured so they still have some cap space. But this big need, the centerpiece of their team, has been taken care of. There were other team that used the franchise tag. Brandon Sheriff in Washington, offensive guard, got tagged for a second year. So he's got $18 million due to him. And at the guard position, where the highest paid player not on a franchise tag, Brandon Brooks from Philadelphia, making $14 million. Sheriff was making $15 million on the tag last year, and that salary jumps because of the second year of the tag. So he's now in offensive tackle territory, has an opportunity to reset the market for guards. We'll see what happens here. I'm told that Washington really still wants to get a long-term deal done, get a more cap-friendly figure, and that talks have been amicable. They've got until July to get that contract worked out. Otherwise, that franchise tag becomes a permanent fixture for the rest of the season, and they can't continue to negotiate until after the year. We'll see. Brandon Sheriff, obviously very valuable, 4-time Pro Bowler, All-Pro this past year, 5th overall pick, 2015, a reliable piece on that offensive line for Washington. We'll see what happens here. Talks have been amicable, so maybe they will get something worked out. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out in the rest of free agency. And one of those guys, like I said, is Patrick Peterson, Arizona Cardinals. Guy is a perennial Pro Bowler, I think 4-time All-Pro. But there have been some talk about maybe he's done there in Arizona. He's going to be 31. But at the same time, he hasn't closed the door, and his owner, Michael Bidwell, has not closed the door on a return either. But we're going to get into it all with Patrick Peterson right now.
Support for this podcast comes from Progressive. What would you do with an extra $800? Buy a plane ticket? Pay down your student loan? Treat yourself to those shoes you've been eyeing. With Progressive, you could find out. Drivers who switch and save an average of $796 on car insurance. Get your quote online at Progressive.com and see how much you could be saving. National average annual car insurance savings by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive in 2019.
Hey, this is Joel Corey from Inside the Cap. I know you're enjoying Football Jones, hosted by Mike Jones, which goes in depth with coaches, executives, players, and NFL insiders. Once you're done with listening to Football Jones, check out my podcast, Inside the Cap, which explains the ins and outs of the NFL salary cap and player contract negotiations. So enjoy Football Jones, Inside the Cap, and other fine products brought to you by Empire Media.
Patrick, how are you?
Hey, good morning, Mike.
Hey, good morning. I appreciate your time. Thanks for doing this. I know it's been busy trying to fit it all in and everything, but first off, just tell me, how's your off season been going? I know it's a time of year where you got to catch up on a lot of things and everything like that, but how's it been going for you?
For the most part, off season's been great. Just been working out, doing my daddy duties, taking my oldest to school, picking her up, walking the dogs, just pretty normal off season for the most part.
Gotcha. I know that we're still a few weeks away from free agency. How do you approach things with free agency? I know you shot down a rumor about you and the Cardinals parting ways, and I know everything's up in the air, but how are you approaching it?
I'm approaching it, the same way that if, I was preparing for a season. I know that I will be playing football for someone this year. If it's for the Cardinals or anyone else. So I'm just like go with the flow type guy. That's out of my control. I've done everything I can do to show my worth and show I can still play this game. So, I know I will be playing football for somebody. So that's my approach.
Gotcha. Have you guys had any more talks as of late?
No.
Okay. What was your reaction to the Cardinals adding J.J. Watt?
I thought it was a great pickup. Just a sense that the organization is going in the right direction. You have to be able to get to the quarterback, in order to, have success. Because the quarterback makes the game go. So if you're able to get to the guy who controls the game more effective than everybody else in the league, you have a good opportunity of winning it. So adding him with Chandler Jones, and you got to add a couple more pieces to the D-line. You got Jordan Phillips up there. It's going to be fun to see what happens with J.J. Watt and Chandler teaming up together as pass rushers. Were
you surprised at all by that news?
No, not at all.
Okay. I know that Hopkins had been recruiting him pretty hard, but what made you not to be surprised by it?
I thought it would be, great for Steve and the Cardinals organization to, go after a guy like him to, when you have that type of guy on the market, you talk about winning a championship. You have to put it all on the line to risk it and put players on the roster that give you an opportunity to win a championship. And they made a big splash. And like I said, I thought it was a great pickup for them. And we all know, if you're able to get to the quarterback effectively, you have a good opportunity to win it.
Gotcha. I know, going back to what you said about you're going to be somewhere, has your agent advised you on how you think free agency will play out this year with the climate of right now we don't know what the cap's going to be? Last year we saw free agency kind of play out kind of slowly because of the uncertainty of COVID. What do you expect for the pace of things this year?
For the most part, just have to be patient. That's something I feel that I'm very good at. So just have to be patient and let time do its thing. Like I said, I know I will be playing football, so okay. I feel like that's the least of my concerns. So it's just going to come down to on the matter of where.
Okay. So you've gotten into the podcast game. What inspired this for you?
My my cousin actually got me into it. I never really thought about doing a podcast, and he asked me to do it. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Just to, just I don't know, just to see how I would like it. And for the most part, everything has been going well as far as the guests that we've been having, the conversations that we've been having, and I feel like I can, because when you have interviews with the team, it's more control. You have to, kind of watch what you say. You have your other teammates that you're talking for as well. So you have to be very mindful of some of the messages that you may come across. But with all things covered, I feel like I could talk more about myself and things that that may not be a topic in the media world, in the football business, like in what I do as far as everyday interviews. So I think I'm able to get more things out on this platform, and just have an opportunity to get to know other people. Being in this profession, we all so busy doing our own thing, but have an opportunity to conversate with some of the other peers and some of your peers and other people in other professions is definitely eye-opening for me, and very, very intriguing as well. So I'm having a great time doing it. But Brian got me into it, so shout out to B-Mac.
Gotcha. What would you describe? How would you describe to fans, like, what are they getting from your podcast? What's the flavor of it? And how did you guys decide what you wanted it to be?
We decided that we wanted to be all things covered because we feel like we just don't want to talk about sports. We have a little bit of insight on a little bit of everything. As far as things we may go through in our lives, maybe giving lessons. It's almost like barbershop talk in a sense. Just whatever that may come up, or whatever the conversation may be. It's almost like hot topics. So that's what I love about these interviews, because you never know what you're really going to get. Mm-hmm. Just like we had a bonus episode with Antoine Walker, and we were just talking, and he just brought up this cool gambling story about him, MJ, and somebody else about a spades game. You know what I mean? And no one ever knew about that, and it was a pretty cool story that we might be the first ones to release. Because I'm not going to talk about it, but it comes out tomorrow, I think Thursday. You got to check it out. But it was a pretty wild story that I can't wait for the world to hear.
Okay. So I was just about to ask you what your favorite guest so far has been. Would that be it, or do you have some other ones too?
Yeah, I do have a favorite guest. I have actually 3 favorite guests.
Okay.
Our first one, my baby brother, Tyron. Shout out to him for coming out, being our first guest, and just really helping all things cover really take off. My second alumni, Shaq Diesel, gave some real good insight. But my funniest one, and I thought that the most entertaining one, was Mr. Ball, man. LeVar Ball.
Oh
man, I laughed that whole entire interview, and it was just him. You see all the stuff on television, and people always paint him to be this certain person, but you can just tell that that's him all the time.
Right.
And then that's all LeVar knows, just being him, and to have him come on the show and just talk about his boys and talk about the journey that they was able to go to get where they were, and also him just talking about it all coming into fruition for us, because I had an opportunity to watch the Facebook show when I can't remember the title of the show.
The Ball in the Family?
Yeah, exactly. So I had an opportunity to watch that show, and he used to always praise LaMelo how LaMelo was going to be, the best of the three. Like, they can't touch him, and it's coming to be true because LaMelo Ball, my goodness, he is a true baller. And it's just amazing to see, the belief and the faith that he has, not only in himself, but in his boys. You can tell that's real, genuine love, and by far, LeBron's my favorite guest.
Okay, so you've named a number of NBA guys. Are you a big NBA guy? And
I am, man. I am. I love NBA. Kobe Bryant. Everybody knows that's my favorite basketball player of all time. I just love watching the game. I'm a sports fanatic. I like watching it all. I think that's why it was easy for me to really, get into the podcast business, podcast game, because like I know about, a variety of sports. I love sports. I love, just, talking about the game, because there's nothing like, preparing for a game and getting that ultimate goal. Now in the podcast world, there's nothing like preparing for those segments because it puts you in that mindset of getting prepared for a game. As far as finding the guests, preparing questions, and now once it's time to film that segment, executing the game plan. So I love it. I'm having a great time with it. It's been great so far.
Gotcha. I know we got to wrap soon. I wanted to ask you, because you're so familiar with the NBA, in recent years, it seems like NFL players are starting to take pages from the NBA guys' book when it comes to being businessmen and free agency. Do you see that, and why do you think it is that we're seeing guys have more control over their contracts and approach it more as businessmen?
I feel like it has always been like that. I just feel like now, with the money that's accessible, and it's making it easier for guys to put things in place now for themselves. As far as the new CBA and things like that, as far as being able to put things in better faith for the players. And I just think, in a sense, we know that this game is very, very tough, and we have to make the best of our opportunities now. And that's why guys are breaking the bank. That's why guys are figuring out they have the blueprints. Now they feel like they may not need an agent, and they feel like they can do the deal themselves and save them more money on the back end, plus 3% that they have to pay their agents. So it's great to see us taking control of our own destiny and trying to make our own decisions, our own business moves, controlling our own deal. So players has been doing a great job so far. As far as taking after some of the top dogs in the NBA. And also you can see like some of the guys are teaming up with NBA agents to have a little bit more insight on how to structure contracts. Obviously contract languages are a little bit different, but there's always ways around of making it beneficial for yourself. So the NBA has been doing a great job over the 10, 15 years. Players have been doing a great job of not letting ownership control their destiny. So it's been a beautiful thing to watch.
Yeah, and it's been great to see you guys, because it's such a physical game. Great to see you guys starting to take control and be rewarded and compensated accordingly for the long term with more guaranteed deals and things like that. So it's great to see. But, well, I appreciate your time, and I know you're going to, all eyes are on you, your big off season here. Best of luck to you with free agency and with the podcast as well. So tell everybody real quick where they can find your podcast.
You can find it on YouTube, Facebook. You can also follow us on Instagram at All Things Covered Podcast. So The podcast been going up. We release a show every Tuesday. We have some weeks we may release a bonus episode on Thursdays. So we've been having plenty great guests in the past, but we got some better ones, even better ones in the future. So make sure you stay tuned to All Things Covered and continue to follow us and watch us grow.
Good deal, man. Well, thanks a lot, Patrick. I appreciate it, and you have a great day.
I might.
Thanks. Okay, thank you to Patrick Peterson for joining me today. Hope you guys will check out his podcast and go in there and subscribe, download, just like you are here with this one. And we will be talking to you guys next week. When we come next week, the league year will be kicking off. Right now, we still don't know exactly what the salary cap figure for the coming year is going to be. That should be determined by next week. And next Wednesday is the start of free agency. So there should be some big deals that we'll be talking about. And again, as always, the offseason is always entertaining for the NFL. Even though the salary cap will be going down, there should be a lot of big names on the market as teams cut guys to try to get under the cap. And it's going to be a buyer's market. Should be really intriguing. I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks again for listening. Again, you can read me at usatoday.com. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram @ByMikeJones. Do me a favor, share this podcast with your friends, and I'll talk to you guys again next week.